Hey everybody! So if you couldn't tell by that opening shot there, I'm going to review all three of the Jason Bourne movies today. This doesn't include Bourne Legacy because I haven't seen it yet, but this is the first three Jason Bourne films with Matt Damon. And so for this video, guys, I'm going to go through each installment that was before Bourne Legacy, since I'm planning on seeing it this weekend, so I can review that for you as well. But for now, I want to go through the first three Bourne films and kind of say, what was good and bad about these first three films, and what I hope, like Bourne Legacy does, and what it avoids when I see it. And hopefully, most of you have either seen it already or are going to see it, like I am. So, Bourne Identity, guys, is the first film in the series. I gave this film an 8.5 out of 10 when I saw it, and even now when I rewatched it recently. It just has a lot of good action, good suspense. It's because it was the first Jason Bourne film. Jason Bourne had no idea who he was. He kind of, as far as like a brief synopsis of each films go, he wakes up on the ship. He was in this water and had no idea how he got there, why he was there. And so throughout the movie, he's figuring out, what got him into that situation, like what made this, because he has bullets in his bag when he wakes up. And he has to figure out, what happened to me? Who am I? Because, he knows all these things that he can do, like what he's capable of, but he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't even know that he's Jason Bourne at this point in the movie. And so throughout this movie, he finds out, he's a secret agent. He has a code name, Jason Bourne, but that's not his real name. That's just his code name that he got from this organization. And so this film is all about, kind of setting up the ground rules and getting us used to how the Jason Bourne series works, and how Robert Ludlum kind of envisioned this character on books and how that character plays out on the big screen. And a negative I had about this movie is, and I obviously didn't think this way back then because Ultimatum didn't even come out, but I did personally think the Bourne Ultimatum was an overall better Jason Bourne movie. It had better action, maybe a little bit more better suspense also. But this film is very good, you guys. Make sure you check out Bourne Identity if you haven't seen it yet. 8.5 out of 10 for me. Like I said, good action, good suspense. Jason Bourne doesn't know who he is quite yet. Very good movie. The next installment was The Bourne Supremacy. I gave this film an 8 out of 10, and that's actually a little bit shocking because when I first saw this movie, I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10, but now I give it an 8. And I guess the reason why, you guys, is I was on the edge of my seat the whole time I watched this movie. I liked how there were several reoccurring characters within this movie. A lot of the characters you saw in the first film came back for this one, or they appeared at least in a flashback, like what Chris Cooper did. He wasn't physically in the movie, but he was shown through some flashbacks, both dealing with scenes you saw in the first film and maybe some stuff that they didn't use and they wanted to show in this one. But Jason Bourne is starting to remember some things, but he still has plenty of things yet to learn, which he later learns in Bourne Ultimatum. But he knows a lot more about himself now. He's a little bit more comfortable. He knows even more now what he's really capable of, even more so than he did in Bourne Identity. But overall, guys, I thought this was the weakest of the trilogy. The action scenes just didn't seem that fun to me. And like I said, it was just the weakest in the trilogy, and back then I really didn't like it because it just felt like a giant cat and mouse game. It just, I guess storyline and action-wise, it just didn't seem to flow as well as the first and third film did. But there's still some fun to be had if you like the Jason Bourne character and the Jason Bourne series. So I don't go back to this one a lot, even when it's on TV. I really don't bother watching it that much. It's still a good film. I'm not saying it's a bad one, but compared to the other Bourne films, it's nothing too special. So 8 out of 10 for that one, which is good considering I used to give it a 7.5 out of 10 when I first saw the movie. Then the next installment, you guys, was The Bourne Ultimatum. In this film, Jason Bourne completely knew who he was. He learns what this treadstone is that the first two films were talking about. And there's some other aspects of Treadstone in the organization that he learns even more about. And, he learns about what happened when he entered the program, what his responsibilities were, what he accepted when he went into the program. But overall, guys, this is the best in the series. I give this one a 9 out of 10, which is also the rating I would probably give it back when I first saw it in 2007. It just had the best storyline, the best action scenes. It rounds everything up very well, and what I mean by that is Everything that happened in 1 that wasn't unanswered was answered in this one. Everything that wasn't answered in 2 was answered in this one. And possibly things that were not answered throughout this movie were answered near the end of this one, too. So it just ended very well. They probably could have even ended the series here, but now with Bourne Legacy, obviously they chose to continue it anyway. Um, I guess a complaint I had about this film is there was some really corny action scenes. There's a scene where like Matt Damon jumps through a window and he goes through all the shard of glass and doesn't cut at all when he's done jumping through the glass. There's another scene too where he gets in 2 car accidents shortly after one another happens. And he's still completely fine. He has a few drips of blood on his face, but he's, running and walking just fine, even if the car accident never happened. And even though that's all corny fun, I know James Bond does that a lot too in those movies, and even Mission Impossible does. Um, the first 2 films were pretty ridiculous too as far as action goes, but I guess 2 accents in a row, I guess that's a little bit too ridiculous for me. So I had a hard time kind of accepting that even when I first saw this film and even rewatching it recently. But like I said, Jason Bourne knows completely who he is by the end of the movie. Very well done. The Julia Stiles character that we saw in the first 2 films is good in this one. She helps Jason Bourne out. And there's another character, if you haven't seen the film yet, I won't spoil it for you, but anyway, there is another character that was kind of a bad person in the second film that helps him out near the end of this one. And like I said, guys, it just ended the series very well, and I liked it a lot. 9 out of 10 for that one. So I guess as far as what I want to see with Bourne Legacy, you guys, I hope it's kind of like Ultimatum in the sense that the action's very well balanced as well as the storyline. I know that they're going to focus on Aaron Cross, I believe, who's going to be played by Jeremy Renner, or has been played by Jeremy Renner. And, I just make it a fun movie. Make it a fun suspense, action, dramatic film. I like Rachel Weisz. She's a very good actress. I don't like Edward Norton as much as most people, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with him in the Bourne series. I don't hate the guy, but I don't love him either. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him in this series specifically. I guess casting-wise, no complaints. It is kind of disappointing that Paul Greengrass doesn't want to come back for this one. I know Tony Gilroy did write the screenplays for the first 3 movies, and I think he did the screenplay for this one and is now directing this new film. But I think Paul Greengrass, just would have done a better job. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really complain too much about how Tony Gilroy directs it yet. But I think it just would have been I think the film, even if this is really good, I think I'm going to leave the theater saying, if Paul Greengrass came back and directed, this probably could have been even better than this was, depending on how I feel about when I see it. But overall, guys, I love this series. I haven't read Robert Ludlum's books, but I hope to someday. But I just love these films. My dad loves them too. Like I said, I hope I like Bourne Legacy. So here's a shot of the sides for all 3 of the first 3 Jason Bourne films. And I hope to see you guys back here when I review the Bourne Legacy. And if you haven't seen the first 3 Bourne yet, the 3 Bourne films, the first 3 yet, make sure you do. They're all very good films, like I said. And if you like those, hopefully you'll see the 4th one like I'm about to. And I hope to see you guys back here when I review the Bourne Legacy.